Evening peeps, good evening everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget as well to like and share the vids. We are flying towards 50,000 subscribers. So thank you so much to everyone that has recently subscribed. Of course, all the old school subscribers as well. Remember, we are doing a giveaway once we get to the big 50. So hopefully we get there sooner rather than later. All right, before we talk what next for Terence Crawford after that magnificent performance on the weekend, let's quickly see if there's any other news. We haven't done a video for a few days, so I'm guessing there is. Let's start with this one. Eddie Hearn feels that Tyson Fury needs to be Usyk and Joshua to be a modern day great. I don't know if he needs to be AJ to be a modern day great. Look, if he beats Usyk, providing Usyk beats Daniel Dubois, then he becomes the undisputed heavyweight champion. And by default, for me, if you're undisputed heavyweight champion, you're a modern day great. So, yeah, I think that will be that. Look, I just want his resume to be a bit thicker. So, yes, you can add an AJ into that. You can add a Joe Joyce if he beats Zhilei Zhang. You can add a Zhilei Zhang in there. A Frank Sanchez, a Hrgovic, and others as well. But I do think if he were to beat Usyk and become undisputed, having beaten Wilder, having beaten Klitschko, I think he probably already is a modern day great. Lee Wood versus Josh Warrington on October the 7th at the Utilita Arena, Sheffield. I wonder why it's there. Interesting. I guess that's probably a bigger arena. They was going to try and do it at the City Ground. I just think they couldn't do it. Obviously, the season is underway, and you can't be ever sure about the weather over here either. And I'm thinking the First Direct Arena in Leeds is maybe too small. I think that's around 8,000. The Nottingham Arena, I don't know what it's called, but the Nottingham Arena is around the same. I think Utilita Arena in Sheffield goes up to 13,000, so that's probably why they've done it. And it's a neutral venue as well. It's going to be incredible, this atmosphere. It's a big fight for both. I mean, when it's all said and done, if Lee Wood were to beat Josh Warrington, I mean, that's solid, you know. From where he was 5 years ago, to have Zhu Can on your CV, Michael Collin on your CV, Mauricio Lara on your CV, and potentially Josh Warrington, that's a very, very solid run. So, yeah, looking forward to that. The atmosphere in there is going to be insane. Half the arena is going to be Leeds fans. Half the arena is going to be Forest fans. I hope there's a lot of security. I really, really do. Keith Thurman, Crafty Crawford did his thing. Spence was just a little slow. Crafty Crawford, dude, there was nothing crafty about that Crawford performance at all. I wonder what Keith's doing. I mean, Keith seems to be calling out a lot of fighters right now, but it's almost like people have lost interest in a Keith Thurman fight. No one really. By the way, I saw Barrios, who Keith Thurman last fought. So, shout out to, what's their name? I forgot their names again. Jesus, how have I forgot? The Boxing Voice guys. They did an event and they handed out some awards and a lot of people turned up. Alicia Baumgardner turned up, some other fighters, Hassim Rahman Jr. and Barrios turned up, who fought Keith Thurman. How he made 140, I have no idea. Honestly, no idea. That motherfucker was thick and tall, taller than me. Like, he must be 6 foot. Honestly, he's a tall guy. He's thick as well. I was like, how did you make 140? And I was like, you know what, fuck that. How are you making 147? Big guy. But yeah, back to Keith Thurman. Yeah, I just don't know what he does. I mean, if he wants to fight, I'm sure there are fights that can be made, but there won't be big fights. Unless he goes straight in with Jaron Ennis, potentially. That's not even a big fight for me, if I'm honest with you. I've kind of lost a bit of interest in seeing Keith Thurman fights. It's a shame because there was a time when he was the #1 welterweight, right? It was him. He had that title, that everything. And it just, don't know, he just became very inactive at the time when I felt like it was a time to be active. But look, credit to him. He was a unified welterweight champion, but I'm not quite sure what's left. Jamel Charlo, wasn't surprised to get Canelo fight. I knew it would manifest. I want all that smoke. Yeah, Jamel Charlo was there. Did you see? I don't know if you guys saw. I don't know if you guys care about it, but the issue between Jamal, and Caleb Plant. Like, Jamal looked drunk, if I'm honest with you. I heard that he tried to. The reason Caleb slapped him, like, so Jamal and Jamal were there. Caleb walked past and he tried to grab Caleb's beard. This is Jamal. And Caleb's like, what are you doing? Don't do that again. He did it again. And then Caleb slapped him. That's what I heard. I don't know if that's true or not. But then Jamal and Jamel's wives were fighting. I mean, what is going on? Honestly, what's going on? But look, Jamel seemed in better spirits. Obviously, he's in fight camp. Again, these guys are so big. He walked past me and I'm trying to get down to 175 and I'm thinking this is difficult. He is so much bigger than me. You know who else was there that was enormous? What's his name again? Who was going to fight Benavidez? I've completely forgot his name. Well, it was rumored he was going to fight Benavidez anyway, and it just hasn't filtered. But anyway, long story short, these guys, I don't know how these guys are making the weight. But back to Jamel. Let's see what he can do with Canelo. Obviously, Crawford wants that smoke. You know what? Let's talk about this actually now because it leads on perfectly to this. Crawford wants that smoke. You saw what happened when Crawford put Errol down the second time. He went straight over, made a beeline for Jamel Charlo. And he kind of grabbed these nuts, didn't he? He said, I'm going to smoke you as well. Something along those lines. It's such a shame that Jamal is not fighting Canelo as it was supposed to be. Because Jamel versus Crawford, for me, is bigger than Jamel versus Canelo right now. Argue with yourself. It's bigger. Jamel versus Crawford is bigger. And it's such a shame because then it almost hinders what next for Crawford. I mean, if you're Crawford, look, all you got to do is wait a couple of months and you kind of know if it's going to happen or not. He wants to jump up to 154. There isn't anyone worth hanging around for at 147. People might scream Jaron Ennis and Keith Thurman potentially. We don't know what's going on with Virgil Ortiz. They're not big fights. After what he experienced on Saturday night, again, no disrespect to those names I just mentioned, it just isn't the same caliber of opponent. And at 35, if you're Crawford, all you want is meaningful, really, really big fights. You don't want mandatories. So Crawford could easily just vacate. He's now undisputed at 140, undisputed at 147. He wants the undisputed opportunity at 154, and I don't think he's going to get it. I do think that once Jamel fights Canelo, win or lose, I think the belts get scattered. I don't think the sanctioning bodies are going to allow him to have another one. I don't think they will. I think Tim Tszyu wants his opportunity. He's probably going to get it, and there's others as well. So it is a massive, massive shame because for me, right now, what I'd pay to see Jamel versus Crawford, especially considering that Jamel is the teammate of Errol Spence, he's going to want get back. He's going to be extra motivated. But I don't know. Even if I say Jamel fights Canelo, if Jamel wins, he ain't coming back down to 154. If he loses, I still don't think he's going to come back down to 154. I don't think it happens. And if he loses to Canelo, say Canelo actually puts a beating on him, I don't think he will. But if Canelo were to put a beating on him, then you kind of the Crawford fight loses interest. I know some people will say, yeah, but you know, he got beat by Canelo at a higher weight. It still loses interest, trust me. If that fight were to happen today, then that fight is over 1 million pay-per-views. Over 1 million. And again, I think I think there's more intrigue and interest on Jamel fighting Crawford than there is on Jamel fighting Canelo. Look, both are fantastic matchups. But this is where I wonder what Crawford's going to do. I don't think Crawford's just going to want to fight anyone at 154 for a belt. I don't know. Yes, he'll become a 4-weight world champion, but I just don't know if that interests him. And then it isn't like there's a massive standout name at 154. There's some great names, but I'm talking about superstars. There isn't a superstar other than Jamel Charlo in the division. Some good names in the division, but there's not a superstar in the division. So I think, Crawford's going to have to think long and hard about what he wants to do here because there isn't an obvious option. One other option someone jumped or put on the page for me was, could he jump 2 weight classes to 160? And I was like, well, it's the same problem at 154. There isn't that obvious guy. There isn't, is there? There isn't that obvious fight out there at 160 either. Golovkin, Crawford ain't that, is it? It's not, is it? So Crawford's going to have some interesting decisions to make. One thing he did say in the post-fight press conference, I was there for it, was I'm 36 in a couple of months and I've been doing this since I was 7. That, you know what happens next after that speech. You know what the next speech is. It could be retirement. I mean, you want a big money fight. You want a big money fight, and the 154 division's all over the place because of Jamel jumping up. 160 has no one. 147, again, for me, there's no big fight out there really. The only other option, and It's one I don't want to see because of what happened on Saturday, but the only other option, and we heard that Errol's going to do it, is the rematch. Errol wants the rematch. He said it immediately after. He said it in the post-fight press conference. Sometimes you say, okay, let's leave it a couple of days and let's see if he changes his mind. We're here filming this Monday evening. He hasn't changed his mind. He wants the rematch. He wants it at 154 pounds. Would anyone be that interested in seeing that again, regardless of the weight? I don't think people would. I know Errol's naturally a bit bigger than Crawford, but Crawford ain't small. I think you guys all saw the weigh-in. Crawford ain't small. Crawford would happily welcome not having to cut another 7 pounds to make the 154 limit. But I just don't, it doesn't intrigue me. It really doesn't. But regardless of intrigue, I mean, again, they'll put the numbers on the paper and they'll say, okay, this is what you can make fighting this guy. This is what you can make fighting this guy. And Errol's number might be the biggest. And at this stage of Crawford's career where he's not earned the money he probably should have earned, maybe it is a case of trying to make as much money as possible. Again, he's 36 in a couple of months. And look, he's in fantastic condition, but 36 is 36. So, yeah, I do wonder what the options are. I think the only two realistic options are the two stablemates of each other, Errol Spence and Charlo. I can't think of any other fight out there that will interest him at this stage of his career. And don't you dare say he's ducking Jaron. He's not ducking Jaron, but it's just not a big fight. So this is not a big fight. It could be a case of one where people put so much pressure on him saying you're ducking Jaron, he might say, oh, fuck it, let's just do this. And I like Jaron, but Jaron ain't ready for that smoke. He ain't ready for the smoke that I saw on Saturday. Jaron's a good fighter, not ready for that smoke. So, yeah, it'll be interesting what he does. But I'm guessing that he waits to see how Jamel and Canelo play out, and then he'll come to his own decision. Very quickly, a couple more bits. Gary Cully rebuilding, shakes things up, aims to one day avenge loss to Felix. I thought that was almost a done deal, unless he's now saying that he's going to maybe have one more before he goes. I think he's changed trainer as well. I thought it was an immediate rematch, but we'll see. Eddie Hearn, Wilder fight will be dependent on Joshua getting victory in White rematch. That's obviously the case. I mean, if Joshua loses, I think even if Joshua doesn't look great, then there's an issue. I start all the build up to that next week. So I go to Dallas, Texas tomorrow for this Jake Paul, Nate Diaz fight. And then we come back. And then obviously we start all the build up to AJ White fight. I don't know what's going on with the face-off. A lot of you keep reaching out to me and saying, Addy, when's the face-off coming out? I don't know. I would have thought it would have been out by now. Or, yeah, you want to, 2 weeks until the fight? I thought it'd be out by now, but I'm not quite sure. Quick update on my weight cut as well. So right now, I'm around 86 kilos. Remember that the aim is to get down to, that's a lie, I'm 87 kilos. The aim is to get down to 79.9. We started at 95. I've jacked up my back. My back is jacked. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's all the traveling. I'm not quite sure because I did a bit of deadlift when I was in Vegas, but it wasn't heavy, really light. But my back right now is not great. I've been doing a lot of stretching, core work, because no excuses. We're still going to make that 175, but yeah, I've made it a bit harder for myself. So we've got just over 3 weeks left to make it. And we will make it, but yeah, won't be easy. All right, guys, girls, we are done. Stay safe, peace. And we're going to do a video on Errol Spence next as well. What next for Spence? And we're going to do top 5 pound for pound. That's interesting. Peace.